Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, a podcast devoted to helping you take your message, your business, and your life to the next level. This, my friends, is episode number 457, and I am your host, Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man. And this week's episode, super short, to the point, has to be brief, and also unedited. So you get the authentic, real Cliff Ravenscraft ums and ahs and all. So I do apologize for that, but I am going to live up to my commitment of having an episode every Friday morning at 5 a.m., even if this is a 10-minute episode, but hopefully it'll be a little bit longer than that. So where am I heading to? Why am I in such a rush? Well, Stephanie and I are getting ready to leave town again. Yes, I know we just got back from Dallas, but we're turning around and leaving again. But this time we're taking the whole family, and we're spending an entire week in Chicago on vacation. Now, the original reason for going to Chicago, of course, is for Podcast Movement 2016, which I'll be speaking at this week. And so that's what initially drew us there. But I'm like, hey, we're going to Chicago. I'm going to Chicago. I'd like to know if you guys want to go with. And they're like, yes, we can turn it into a vacation. Let's do this thing. And so that's exactly what I plan on doing. And we're leaving in about 35, 45 minutes. They're just going to be waiting for me to finish this thing up and then to throw some clothes into a suitcase. And I'm out the door. So that's why I'm in a rush. Real quickly, I just want to share with you an outline of what my talk is this week. Now, if you happen to be listening to this after it's released at 5 a.m. on Friday morning and you're in Chicago ready to come hear my talk, then stop listening right now because I'm basically going to share with you what my talk is later today. Shh, don't tell anybody. But anyway, I am going to share with you top strategies used by today's top-ranked podcasters. This is what I have planned. I haven't yet gone through and rehearsed exactly word for word what I'm going to say, but the first slide is going to have this picture of like an eye chart with eyeglasses and everything looks clear if you look through the glasses. And basically my point, my first strategy that I've recognized that is, by the way, this is all things that, knowing the top-ranked podcasters, top-ranked independent podcasters, what makes them top-ranked shows? What is it that they have in common? What are some strategies that I see in common among some of the best podcasts out there? And one of them is, this first one, is that they have a clear message that their audience can grab onto and get excited about. So if you were to, for example, pull up the podcast from my friend Ray Edwards, he has an intro that has a professional voiceover, but you hear these words that says, live your destiny by design, start, run, and grow your own internet-based business, and create the life of your dreams. You can do it. So what is the message? What is this clear message? Number one, you can live your destiny by design. You can design the life that you dream of. You can create the life of your dreams. And yes, you can do it. You, individually, you can do it. That is the clear message that Ray has. Michael Hyatt, if you pull up his website over at michaelhyatt.com, you'll see his tagline is very clear, concise, to the point. I want to help you win at work and succeed at life. Work doesn't have to be this dreaded thing. Work can be a place of fulfillment and joy, and life should be something that you can succeed at. It's not something that you survive. You can thrive. That's what Michael Hyatt's message is. And by the way, he's also your virtual mentor. It's very clear that he wants to be your mentor virtually. And what does he want to help you do? In what area is he mentoring you? Winning at work, succeeding at life. So I love that. Pat Flynn, pull up his website. Front homepage right now, it says he can help you build an ethical business fueled by passive income. Now, it's very important, and I think that those words were probably chosen very deliberately, but it's not just build a business fueled by passive income. There are billions of, okay, not billions. There are lots of other podcasts out there about that. There are thousands and thousands of blogs about how to build passive income businesses. No, but Pat, his clear message, he wants to help you build an ethical one. He is there to help you build a business that is ethical, that has integrity, that isn't taking advantage of people. It's not only about the numbers, it's about human relationships. How can I benefit, add value? That's Pat's clear message. The takeaway here for this point that I'm going to share with my audience is that, you know what? There's value in having a tagline that contains your value proposition. What is your unique selling proposition? What is it that is unique about the message that you have? For me personally, I'm all about taking everything in life to the next level. And specifically, my clear message is that I want to help you take your message to the next level. I want to help you take your business to the next level. And I want to help you take your life to the next level. That's my clear message. All right. Now, next strategy is that they provide hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Now, I believe that the image that will be on the screen behind me, I don't believe I know, is an image of this word impossible written on a piece of paper, and it's kind of ripped where the I am is taken off. So it's not impossible. Instead, you can tell that what's going to be remaining is the word possible. So the idea here is that top-ranked podcasters are always providing hope, encouragement, and inspiration. These are not a lot of naysayers. These are not doom and gloom people. They're not victims. They're not complainers. These are people who are out there making a difference. They're moving forward, and they are full of hope themselves. They are always looking for ways to encourage and inspire others, and they keep it possible, and they're always working to be an example that others can follow and would want to follow. All right. The third strategy, they create consistent, compelling content. First of all, you've heard me talk about this over and over again. Consistency is a critical key for success. The question is, can your audience reliably know when to expect your next episode? I hope you can do that for me. I've been saying it ever since, I think it was December of last year. I said, listen, in 2016, you will get an episode every single Friday at 5 a.m. without fail. It will be there. Consistency is key, and I can tell you that as a result of that, I've seen my numbers consistently go up, 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 and up as a result of that, in spite of significant changes to my brand, to my content, and just my overall method of what I'm doing with my business. So this is consistency, I believe I can tie as a direct result, or the growth is a direct result of the consistency. People are knowing that it's there. Now, the thing is that some people think, okay, well, I'm just going to throw something out every week, and sometimes I'm thinking, it's like, what am I going to put out this week? I've got to head out of here. Family's going to be waiting for me in the car if I take too long here. You can't just throw out anything. You have to create compelling content, or at least if you want to be a top-ranked podcaster. This is something that top-ranked shows do. They don't just throw content out there because, well, they needed to put something out there. They make sure that the content evokes interest, attention, or admiration in a powerfully irresistible way. That's the actual definition of compelling. Evoking interest. Does the content that you're creating, is this content right here that I'm creating, is this going to evoke interest? Will it evoke the attention, or will it evoke the admiration of my audience in a powerfully irresistible way? And I do believe that the past several episodes of this show have been compelling content. And I believe that this topic, what are some of the strategies that I've noticed, I think that's going to definitely evoke the interest and the attention of people. And I believe by the time I'm finished here with maybe some of the insights that you'll pull away and the takeaways, I believe that it will evoke your admiration. You will admire the fact that I took the time to create this. You will appreciate it, and that you'll find that this information was irresistible. I have to have this. I want to create great content. I want to create a better ranked podcast, at least not necessarily, and don't put this in the mindset of, I'm going to help you get into the top 100 of iTunes. Guys, I got to tell you, that really doesn't even matter. The question is where will you rank? Where will your podcast rank in the ranking of the people who are subscribed to your show compared to the other shows they're subscribed to. How can we help you take these strategies and move you higher up on their list? Because my friends, that's the only list that matters. That's the only one that matters. My goal is to take my ranking of my podcast in your list. Where in your top 5 podcasts that you listen to, number 1, am I even in the top 5? I'd love to know. Am I in the top 5? And where am I in the top 5? And hopefully I'm doing things that consistently will help me bump into maybe the top 1, 2, or 3. That'd be awesome. Now, do I need to know that from you? No, but that's something that is a goal of mine. If I care about ranking at all, that's the kind of ranking that I care about. Because here's what I know. People who subscribe to podcasts, most of them subscribe to as many as 10 or 15 shows. But I also know that most people only listen to the ones like every single week, never miss an episode kind of deal. They only listen to about 3 to 5 of those. So every single week, never missing an episode. I want to be in that. That's what we can do here. So anyway, create consistent content and compelling content. Those are what are the takeaways? Number 1, commit to a schedule. If you're going to choose weekly, which I recommend highly, by the way, I would recommend that you choose a day of the week. It doesn't matter what day, just choose a day, as long as it's the same day every week. And then pick a time of day that you will release your episode, and commit to releasing a new episode at that time and on that day and that time every single week, and never miss it. I don't say that you have to communicate to your audience what that day and time is, but trust me, if you're consistent, they'll come to the place where they just naturally will come to expect it. And if you are willing to commit it and communicate it, they'll even look for it even more. All right. Another takeaway, not just creating any episode, make sure that the episode that you're creating is going to evoke the interest, attention, and admiration of your audience, and hopefully in a powerfully irresistible way. All right, the next strategy that I'll be talking about is that they are focused on quality. All right, quite simply, top-ranked podcasters, hands down, one thing they all have in common, they have great audio quality, and they have quality podcast artwork. Those two things, there may be an exception to the rule, but I can't think of any. I'm telling you, if you look in the top 50 podcasts in any category in iTunes, chances are, click play on those top 50 shows, audio quality is going to be probably a 9 or a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. And the artwork for their podcast is probably going to be somewhere between an 8 to 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as quality. These folks are focused on creating quality audio and quality artwork for their show to gain the interest and maybe even the respect of some. Here are the takeaways. Number 1, content is king. It always has been, always will be. But audio quality is queen. And in the game of podcasting, sometimes the queen can trump the king. It is possible for you to have better content than me, but if I have better audio quality and my way of communicating is better than yours, I have a higher quality of production value, I can beat you as far as in the game of attention of audience. I can get people to choose my content over yours if I have a higher quality show than the audio quality of your show. And by the way, when it comes to bad artwork alone could keep some people from even clicking play to preview your episode. Trust me on this one. All right? So there we go. The next strategy, the top-ranked podcasters out there, independent podcasters, one of the things that you'll find that's common among all of them is that they are authentic. Here's the takeaways. Don't be afraid to be you. Don't try to mimic everyone else. Don't go and try to copy somebody else's format. By all means, go and find things that you like and try to incorporate some of those, but find your own voice. Everybody who's in the top, they don't sound like somebody else. They sound like themselves. All right. And when it comes to imposter syndrome, gosh, we've covered that a billion times. Okay. Again, exaggerating. I've covered it a lot. But anyway, don't worry about imposter syndrome. Simply, when it comes to being an expert in your industry or sharing valuable insights and information, you know what? This is all you do. Number one, you share where you've been, what your history has been in this area. You share where you are now. Talk about the obstacles that you have overcome and how you overcame them, or the ones that you're facing now and the things that you're looking to overcome. Share what you're learning through the process, and then simply share your hopes and dreams for the future, where you plan on going. There's always going to be people who are behind you in the journey, no matter what journey you're on and what you're talking about. So the biggest takeaway here, just be yourself. The next strategy that I'm going to cover is that they are passionate about the content that they create. All right. And I'm going to talk about my friend Dan Matson and how he was going to create a podcast about business coaching or personal finance. And when he told me about all the reasons why he wanted to do that, he had this long list of reasons why he felt like these are the two that he couldn't decide between, and why he would be excellent at creating content for both of them. And if you would have looked at the list he gave, it looked like a resume. And certainly I would be impressed if I was looking to hire him for a job in either of those two fields. He definitely was qualified, had all the experience. But what he didn't have was passion for the topic. At least I didn't think. He didn't mention anything about loving it when he documented all his reasons why he's chosen these two as possible topics for his show. And so when I asked him, I said, this all looks great. I think either one of those. Question, which one are you most passionate about? And you know what he told me? He goes, gosh, to be quite honest with you, I'm not really passionate about either one of them. The truth is, I've been doing this for the last 30 years of my life, and I'm kind of bored of both of them. And I said, do yourself and the world a favor and don't create content related to it. So what did he do? He ended up creating a show called Hooked on Wooden Boats. But there's a whole story about it. I plan on sharing it in my talk. It's a real funny story. In fact, it's actually been told in the archives of this podcast many times. So anyway, I'm going to tell that story. But here's the takeaway. I don't care how knowledgeable you are about your subject matter or how much experience you have in your industry. If you are not passionate about the content that you're creating, your audience won't be either. All right. The next strategy here is that they network with other content creators within their niche. I'm going to talk about the fact that the fastest way that I've ever seen to grow my audience is to grow the audience for my podcast is for me to be a guest on other people's podcasts that have the same target audience. So networking and building relationships with other podcasters and if they actually invite you to be a guest on their show, trust me, that's massive. All right. Big stuff there. And that's how you get more people listening to your show. It's the greatest way to grow your audience. And when you have that bigger audience, it obviously gets the attention of more people talking about it. Now, for example, here's an example of somebody that I network with. His name is Ray Edwards, and I was just listening to him talk about his LinkedIn bio and how he recently updated it. And this is what his mission says on his bio. It says, my mission to help entrepreneurs, small business owners, coaches, consultants, trainers, copywriters, freelancers, and others prosper with purpose. I want to help you discover how to start, run, and grow your internet-based business so that you can lead the life you want and love the work you do. So that's Ray's mission. And you know what? Guess what? I also have a podcast, this podcast, and I am also trying to help entrepreneurs, small business owners, coaches, consultants, trainers, sure, copywriters as well, I guess. But anyway, I want to help freelancers and others create a podcast that will help them take their message to the next level. And beyond that, I do want to help them also build their business and take their internet-based business to the next level. And I also want to help them succeed in life and take their life. So guess what? Anybody who listens to Ray Edwards, chances are his audience would be a prime target for people who might also enjoy my show. And so there's a lot of value in networking with Ray and having that relationship. And by the way, it's not why I have a relationship with Ray, but certainly it's one of the things that has added to the value and brought the ranking of my show and Ray's show and Dan Miller's show and Michael Hyatt's show and all of these other people that were in this network together of just friendship, this close-knit friends of content creators. The question is then the takeaway is, well, who is your network? How are you connecting with others? And we could talk more about the value first approach and some other things. But anyway, the strategy here is that networking with other content creators within your niche is a massive deal. Okay. And then let's see here. Is this the last one? Yeah, the last one that I'll have, it's like, I think 8 strategies that I'm sharing with my audience there at the talk. It's they build a relationship with their audience. Number 1, they value the audience they already have. They're not obsessed by their stats. In fact, instead of spending time focused on their stats, they spend more time focused on learning more about the individuals who are already listening to their show. And then, of course, I'm going to do something that I've talked about in many talks, and that is, well, I just can't seem to get any audience engagement. How do you build a relationship with an audience that won't communicate with you? I never get anything from them. And so I'm going to talk about engaging with their content first, connecting with people who are in your target audience, and follow them on social media and start leaving comments on their social media posts. When somebody does send you feedback, ask them questions, carry on the conversation, learn things about them. Set yourself reminders. I was just having a conversation with my friend Tim Schmoyer last night, and just in casual conversation, he probably didn't even know I did anything, but in casual conversation, he mentioned that he's closing on his house on July 29th. He and his wife, Dana, are buying their first home together, and they are closing on July 29th. And while he was talking, I pulled up my calendar, and on July 29th, I added an all-day event that says Tim and Dana are closing on their new house. Guess who's going to reach out to them on July 29th and say, congratulations, I'm so excited for you today? That would be me. Why? Because I care about deepening my relationship with somebody who's in my network, who's in my audience, and who's in my community. All right. So that's how you can do this. And then, of course, you can use social media to connect with people using Periscope, Facebook Live, Snapchat, all these other things. And the question is, it's like, okay, you on one end of the spectrum, you have people who say, I just can't seem to get anybody. And it's like, and the other one is, this just isn't scalable. So I'm going to share one of my favorite quotes from Andy Stanley: do for some what you wish you could do for everyone. My friends, this is what my talk will be at Podcast Movement. So for those of you guys who wished you could be at Podcast Movement, that gives you an overview of what my talk will be. And I just gave it in less than 22 minutes here. I believe I have a 40-minute time window. So hopefully I'll even have some time for some Q&A from those folks. But yeah, that's what I've got. And so yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This is a short episode. Oh, by the way, I do have to let you know before we go, it is now July 5th. There's less than a month before my next session of Podcasting A to Z. If you are thinking about creating a podcast and you want to create consistent and compelling content and you don't know where to start, you've been trying, you've been on the fence, maybe you just have been putting it off, whatever the case may be, if you are serious about taking your message, your business, and your life to the next level by creating an audio podcast, then please consider allowing me to be your personal coach for 4 weeks starting on Monday, August 1st. That is when my next session starts. Head over to podcastingatoz.com for more details. And when you're there, go ahead and click the register button and sign up today. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much. And until next time, I encourage you to take everything you do in life to the next level.